Good evening and welcome to Facebook Live for getting creative with my new Christmas collection. Okay, there. Okay, hopefully you can hear me okay. Give people a chance to come on. And thank you, Philippa. Excellent. Thank you, love. I'm not going to move my computer over to the other side because I couldn't read the comments this morning anyway. But I have read all the comments, so thank you so much for everybody that watched this morning. The inspiration of the design team was just absolutely amazing. I have another full basket to show you tomorrow, and I will be on from 10:30 tomorrow morning. So lots more to share with you, but it is all on Pinterest. If you can't wait till tomorrow morning, want to go and have a look, all the Pinterest boards are live. So you will find all the sample cards over there as well. Excuse me. Just while we're waiting for people to join, I'm going to reach, see if I can get my bit of paper. It's got a magnet holding it on, and I can do my bit of spiel, and then that's done. So if you haven't already treated yourself, then you need to head over to the Julie Hickey Designs Facebook page, not now, obviously, when we're finished. And pinned to the top of this page is a list of all the stockists that you can get the stamps from. So they are with Hazel and Paul at Dragon's Papercraft. They're with Holly at Wow Embossing Powder, Joe and Mark at Let's Create. They're with Kate at the Mulberry Bush, Jamie and Daphne at Craft Mania Crafts, Ben at Intercraft, and and Julie and Barry at Craft Bliss, and Jane and Penny at The Art of Craft. And also in America, they're available from Simon Says Stamps, and in Australia, they're available from J-Craft, from Jeanette. So, done that, told you about tomorrow. I'm back here tonight. And then we've got Pinterest boards as well. And we've got an event starting on Monday, which is running through to Sunday, because my amazing assistant informed me. Thanks, Philippa. So yes, that is going to be happening next week, which you will get some details about soon. But we're going to have a Christmas event, so we'll be using everything that you're seeing or that you saw this morning. So I'm going to flip the camera and I'm going to show you my card. Bear with me. Let's flip the camera first. And I did mean to keep out Emma's card. So let me just, in case you didn't see it this morning, okay, so this was the card that I was totally inspired by from Emma Smith, and she has used the Foilables with the postage stamp, and she's used the stamps as well from the launch, the Christmas postage and the backgrounds, postage marks, and she's used the sentiment banner as well. And she's foiled the Foilables, which I'm going to do as well. Mine is slightly different. I don't do big cards, so Emma's card is 8x8. Mine is a 5x7, but I've taken elements of what Emma has done on her card and used it on mine. So I've done the white heat embossing in the background. I've ink blended with just peacock feathers and picked raspberry, because when they mix together you get this purple colour, which is lovely. Used the sentiment banner stamps for Joy to the World, and I coloured some of the elements in on my Foilables just because I wanted to see what they look like. Don't know if I would bother. I quite like them plain, but I will do it tonight as well, just because I have on my card. So it was Emma's card that inspired me. I just loved the colour palette as well. So Let me go through what I'm going to use. So I have a 5x7 card that I've cut from Super Smooth, scored and folded it. I've got a piece that goes on the front, which I have cut down by 1/2 centimetre so that I get a nice little border around the edge. I have my bit of trusty cardboard to mount it up, ready for afterwards. I have some fab foil from Wow, and this is a silver sparkly one. I have the new stamp, Christmas sentiment stamps, banners. Oh, I put them on the Christmas postage one. Oh, I put them on the wrong bit of card. Oh, never mind. This is the sentiment banners. So we've got Merry Christmas, Winter Wishes, Peace and Joy, Season's Greetings, Joy to the World, Across the Miles, Happy New Year, From Our Home to Yours, and From My Home to Yours, because I was asked if I would do a From My Home to Yours. I've been asked lots and lots of times to do it, so there was room, so we thought, let's put it in this one. And then the other set is the Christmas sentiment banners, which it isn't. This is the Christmas postage. And in here you've got your holly, you've got your wording. I have put a little mark on my stamps, and I tend to do this so that I know that they're up the right way. So if that is at the top, when I put it down, if I can't read the writing or anything, I know it's up the right way. And the same with my holly. Then we've got a little Christmas tree, the North Pole Santa's delivery for the 25th of December. We've got a solid holly and snowflakes and a single snowflake, which should be down there, which is why I thought I'd lost it. Been looking for that. You've got the little stag and a bigger stag. You've got the little Christmas tree. You've got Christmas post, a poinsettia, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Christmas as a stamp seal. And then you've got your 2 trees as well. So we're going to be using those. We're going to be using Distress Oxide in Picked Raspberry and Peacock Feathers. And then I'm going to be using the opaque bright white superfine powder from Wow, my anti-static bag, my embossing pad. And I did do my sentiment in silver so that it matched my foiling. And I also have cut out squares from the foil pad that I got that is Studio Light, that comes in the different colours. So I've used the silver from this pad and cut out little squares ready to layer them up onto. So let us begin. Let's pop that to one side. First of all, I'm going to bring in my piece of card. So I'm only going to be working on the actual piece of card, and I'm trying not to touch it too much because I'm going to heat emboss it, so I don't want my fingerprints all over it. Okay, I am actually going to bring the desk up a little bit. I think I can. I've got a few obstructions in the way, but I think I'm going to stand up because I find it a bit easier. Okay, so bringing my piece of card into my stamp press, and I've got a sticky mat in here. So I don't really need my magnets, but sometimes I use them just for extra, making sure it doesn't move. Now, I don't want to touch it too much, so I'm actually going to firm it down onto the sticky mat using my anti-static bag, and just make sure that I wipe that all over. And then I also need no, I've got the postage stamp, so that's it. Yeah, that's all I need. So I'm going to use my press, but I'm going to use my stamp on my block because I want to stamp randomly and do several bits in my background. So I'm inking up my stamp, and I just want to place one down first of all onto my card. Now you probably can't see it, but I can in the light, so I know where that is on my card. So I'm going to work randomly, changing the direction of my stamp, and stamp on and off the card, but just leaving some gaps in between because I want to fill in with the postage stamps and what have you. So I don't need to fill it all up. So I think that's probably fine. So I'm going to bring in my piece of card that I do my embossing into. Now, a little tip, if you have a sticky mat, sometimes they can really hold on to the card, and it can it's actually quite a job to get it off sometimes, and it can almost crease it. So if you just peel the sticky mat back, you'll get it off and you won't damage your card at all. So let's bring that in and put that over the top. So it's onto my piece of card, ready to catch the excess. Sprinkle my embossing powder on. Whoops. Try and get as much as possible back on the piece of card. And I have also found as well that sometimes the embossing sticks to the back of the card where it's been on the sticky mat. But that looks fine. You just want to check it that there's no splodges anywhere before we go and heat that. And I am going to pop this back in the pot because I need to do some more, but I don't want to risk it. Because for some reason I get really messy crafting when I'm demoing live, which I don't do things normally, but I do when I'm demoing. Okay, so I've got my heat tool. I'll let that heat up a little bit. I'm going to have to do it from the top because of how close I am to it. I did post a link to my sticky mat. I will put it in the group again and pin it to features. So I'm heating up my powder and just wait until that goes raised and shiny, and then moving round so that I know that everything is getting heated and melting. So just nice and systematically, keeping the heat tool, not shaking it about because you just disturb the air. You want to keep it nice and smooth and just run that around the outline of your postage. Turn that round because I don't want to burn my fingers. The last one. And then it's always good just to hold it in the light and just to check that everything looks like it's nice and shiny and raised up, which it does to me, so that's good. So I'm going to pop it back into my press. Again, I'm going to firm it down onto my sticky sheet with my anti-static bag so that I'm not touching the bit of card, because if I put my fingers on it, I've got oils in my fingers and I'm quite warm, so it's going to leave marks on my card that where the ink could stick where I don't want it to stick. So I can take my postage stamp off, and in my postage set I'm going to do a few of the 25th of December postage mark. Now I have to say I am not reading any of the comments because they whiz back up on my phone and I can't read my computer from here, but I know that Philippa's watching, I know that Tracy's watching, and I know that they will help wherever they can, and I will read them afterwards. So I'm just going to place this down so it's overhanging my postage stamp. I don't want it in every single one, so I'm going to have, I've got one there, and we'll have one down here. And then I'm going to take my poinsettia. So you could use whatever you wanted. There's so many different choices. You could have the stag, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to have my flower, and I'm going to do it in the corner. I'm going to have it overhanging a little bit. I'll have one up there, and I will have the flower just in the corner. So then I'm going to add a few snowflakes. And I'm going to do this in the opposite corners to my flowers. Might put a couple in the postage as well. But just varying it, moving it around, having different angles, going on and off the page. And then I want the Merry Christmas, oh sorry, the Happy Christmas. I'm going to ink that up. Make sure I've got it up the way I want it to go. And I'm going to have parts of it. So there'll be a part in between the stamps. There'll be a little bit overhanging the stamps. So just randomly fill in my background up. But I think it's really important to go on and off the card. I don't think I went over there. I can't see it if I did. And then we'll just have a little bit down the bottom there. Okay, so put my lid back on. And again, lift your mat up and then just curl it backwards. And that will get your mat, get your piece of card released from the sticky mat, and it doesn't bend it at all. Bring my card back in, pop it down, and then I can pop my embossing powder over the top. And it's obviously only going to stick, it's not going to stick to the postage stamps that we've already done, but it will stick to all the new images that we've added. Make sure that you get all of them nicely covered. Give it a good tap to get rid of any excess. Pop that down a minute. And then we can pop this back in the pot. Give my card a nice tap. Get rid of anything that's on there. Put my lid on. And then I'm just going to move my press out of the way. And in case there's any embossing powder, just like to get rid of all of that before I go any further. Okay, so let's bring this back in. Be careful because you've obviously got stamping in many more places now. I'll put my heat tool on. You just want to make sure you haven't got any excess bits that you don't want, which is a bit harder to do when you've got a lot more stamping on there. But it is really worth just taking your time to check, because you can brush off any excess that you don't want. So then we're going to just heat up the areas where we've got the new embossing powder, trying to stay away a little bit from our postage stamps because we don't want to keep the heat on it for too long. I'll turn this round. I'm just heating it up and then just moving it along as I see it go raised and shiny. This is a really lovely technique to do. So you would always do the embossing first, because then this is going to act like a resist for your ink. But any ink blending that we do on here, where you've sealed your card, if you like, because you put the white embossing on it, so that is always going to be white. Whatever colour inks we use on our card, there will always be the white designs. So let me just check that there's nothing. It's a lovely brush, that brush, to get rid of the embossing powders. Oh, thank you. It was a birthday present from my friend Maxine, isn't it lovely? It keeps tinkling on the side, so I hope it's not too annoying. Okay, so next up is to get it up the right way. And because I've got my happy towards the top, and I know that my 25th, my North Pole, needs to be at the top. So then we can start our blending. So depending on whether you want to have blue at the bottom, pink at the top, it doesn't matter. It's entirely up to you. But I'm going to stick with what I did, and I'm going to have the pink at the top. So just starting off the edge of my card and coming in, and I'm using a blending tool. I find it easier with a blending tool if I'm doing a big area. Obviously, if I'm doing stencils and things, then blending brushes are better because they get in all the nooks and crannies. So I'm going to come down about halfway, but I'm going to try and do a little bit softer as I get to the halfway point. So it's not, I want it quite strong around the edge. I can come back in with more colour and add that. But I want it strong around the edge. And I do want it to fade a little bit the further it comes down the card, so we'll get a nice soft blend then. Then I'm going to take a cloth if I can. I've got my computer balanced on my drawer. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe up the pink, and then I'm going to turn this round because I find it easier to turn it round and do it, whether it's a left-handed thing or not, I don't know. Pick up some more ink, and then I'm going to do that all over again. Now, when you're put your fingers on the bits that you've already done, you've got moisture in your fingers, and so you reactivate the ink. So you can get left with fingerprints. So if you just have a piece of card that you can use to hold the edge of your card down, let's move it a bit closer. That will work, and you won't get your fingerprints, because sometimes I've done it and I've had like real fingerprints in it. So if you just use a little piece of scrap card, and then you can blend your colour down. Again, I'm going to come back a little bit with my piece of card now, because I want to blend this in. I don't want to get a line. So I want to blend the two together. And I start to get that purpley colour showing. So I'm bringing the blue up to meet the pink at the moment. And when I'm happy with the colour, which I am, I'm going to swap back, turn it round, and I'm going to swap back to the pink, but I'm going to blend the pink back down into the blue again now. So I'm going to extend that purpley colour in the middle a little bit. But if you do it both ways, then you're going to get a really nice soft blend between all of them. So it's blended beautifully. You could splosh water on here now and pick it up, and you'd have a lovely splodgy background as well. Shall we? We didn't do it before, did we? Let's just wipe the ink up. Just because I don't want to get any blue ink on the back of my main card when I mount it up. Let's do a little bit of splatting. So I like to put it in my hand when I want to do something like, oh, I could do it with my splat brush actually. Then I'll get lovely little splats. Let's do that. Put a bit of water in my brush. Oh, it's yellow. That was a bit of luck, wasn't it? That's because I've been using Jamie's Enchanted Sprinkles. That's better. Right, so I pick up some water, and just with my splat, I can just tap on the brush, and then it's going to give me little splats of water over my background. That's perfect. Pop that back, and I get a bit of kitchen roll. Treat myself to a new piece. How about that? And then I can pop that down, soak up the splats, and then that will lift off some of the ink in the background. So we've got that, it looks like snow, soft speckly background. That looks lovely. Okay, now because we've ink blended over the white embossing powder, you need to take a clean cloth, and you need to wipe over the white embossing, and that will just take off if there's any ink on the top of the embossing, and it just tends to make it look a lot brighter white again. So just gently, I do it with a cloth rather than kitchen roll. I find I get a better result if I use a cloth, even though it looks filthy. There we go. So now we've got that lovely white heat embossing, which really does show up beautifully. It's gorgeous, isn't it? And with the splatters, it really does look like snow. Could have done it with, I always forget about it. Got the diamond pearl. Could have done it with that, and then it would have been all pearly as well. The splats. Let's wipe that bit of water up. Let's have a go. So if I put some of this, make sure you mix it up so it's nicely mixed. Any of this spray that you can use to do this. And again, I use my brush to pick it up, and I just tap down on it. And this time I'll get splats, but these will be pearly splats. So let's wipe that up. Clean that bit up so I don't get that everywhere. And my mat as well. Trying to be tidy. And then you have to give this a little bit of time to soak into the card. You could give it a little blast if you wanted to help it dry, but I think I'm just gonna risk it. Oh, I hope you can pick up that. I hope it picks that up on the camera. I don't know if it will, but honestly, it's so pretty and sparkly now as well. Oh, it's lovely. I'm gonna have a snowdrift. Okay, so I have my background for my card. Then the next thing that I needed to do was stamp out my postage stamp, which I have done already. And so I stamped in white embossing, ink blended exactly the same way as you've seen a minute ago, and I've done 4 ready to have my foilables put on. And like I said as well, I also cut out the 4 little squares of silver foil card ready to go down in my squares. So I think actually, so I don't lose them, the easiest thing to do is to stick them on. So we'll do that next. So I never glue right up to the edge with foil, because when you pop that down, the glue is going to squish out. If you have too much, it squishes out the edges. So if you don't go too close to the edge, then you don't get that glue squishing out, but it's stuck down fine. So I've just cut these so that they're a little bit smaller, so I've got a little bit of a border. Let's let that start to set. So we'll do all 4 of those. Make sure I've got it at an even border. Last one. And then pop that one in. Okay, I just wanted to make sure there was no other. Okay, right, so got our panels ready to go on, and next up I'm going to do the foilables. I don't think I need that again in a minute. Put my lid back on my glue if I can. There we go. Move these bits out of the way. Right, so to use the foilables, let's, oh, I start off tidy. Doesn't last long, does it? Right, so when you're using the foilables, you need a piece of, right, first of all, you need some foil. You need your foilable elements. Now, one of them I foiled by mistake, so I foiled that one already. So we've got 3 here left to foil. So they just come with black lines on them, and you need to use heat foil. So this is Wow's Fab Foil, and it's the right type of foil to use. And I've got a laminator. So this is just a cheap laminator. I'm going to put it on, and I'll put it on to hot, because I want to foil hot foil. And this is just a cheap laminator from Amazon, and it was the cheapest one I could find, but it must hot foil. So that's the only thing. If you haven't got a laminator and you want to give this a go, they're not expensive. I think it might have been £11, something like that. I'm just cutting a bit of the foil off. The tip that I can give you for foil, which I should take notice myself, is the bigger the blades in your scissors are, the easier it is to cut the foil. So these scissors are not really big enough. You'd be better with longer bladed scissors. You then need a piece of copy paper. I've just realised I've got all sorts of things written on here. Hang on, let me see if I've got another piece that's not so incriminating. No, that one's worse. Bear with me. I don't throw any paper away, so I use paper for anything. But the thing I was going to say as well is, don't use your pieces of paper. This is just copy paper. So I'm using this like a carrier sheet in the laminator. I tend to use the same piece over and over again, and you do get creases in them. And one thing I was going to say was, don't use them too much, because the creases will affect how the foil works. If the paper gets a crease in it, then the foil's not going to take properly. So you put your elements down, you put your foil over the top, and you can use the foil several times. If I show you this, you can see that I've actually put it on top of another one, but it foiled beautifully. I don't understand why, because there's bits missing, but it's foiled fine. So you can use this again until all of the foil, or a lot of the foil, is gone. So it's in our carrier sheet. My light hasn't come on. This will go green when it's ready. So it's not quite ready yet, but it doesn't take long to heat up. I'm sorry, bear with me. Let me just make sure there's nothing else. Right, that sounded like the light's gone green. It has. Okay, so my light is green, so it's ready to go. You have to put the folded side through first, and you literally push it in until it starts to bite, and then you just let it feed itself through. And what it does is it's heating it, but it's also squashing it between rollers. So you need the heat, but you also need the pressure. Now, if you don't have a laminator, but you want to have a go, and you've got an iron, you can do it with an iron. It's just a bit trickier getting the heat right for the iron. But once you know the setting that you need to put your iron on, you obviously need to turn the steam off. But once you get to know your iron and you're happy with the setting, you can do it with an iron. You can do it in a foiling machine, as long as it's a hot foil machine, or you're using the right foils with my Foilables. And Marion has even done it with hair straighteners, because the hair straighteners give you a lovely flat bed, but they've got heat as well, so you can put the pressure on as you pull it through. So she even works with hair straighteners. So before I turn it off, I just want to make sure that everything has foiled okay, because look, I've moved this and it's overlapped. So the bit behind isn't going to have any foil on it. So this line here hasn't foiled. So I can put it back in. I mean, the rest of it, let me show you, is beautiful. But this line here is still black. There's no sparkle on it. So we can just pop him back through. It's not a problem at all. They can go through as many times as you need to. But look at that, just from going through that laminator. How cool is that? Honestly, once you start playing with them, it's addictive, because the results are just fabulous with them. Absolutely. And in the packs, you get sentiments. There's just all sorts in there. But the packs that we're doing at the minute, or some of them are like the Christmas packs, but we have everyday packs. I've got just sentiment packs as well, and they really are brilliant, and we don't use them enough, so I'm going to make a conscious effort to share how to use them and what you can do with them, because I think the design team just blew me away with how many of the Foilables were actually on their cards. They were just beautiful. So it's just popping out the other end. You don't want to pull it or anything. I'm literally just holding it until it's ready to fall out. And then it's only gone through with the foil on the bit where I needed it. And now the whole thing, this line is foiled as well. So it's just worked out perfect. So I've got my 4 Foilables. I can turn that off now and just leave that to cool down. I'm on my phone cable, sorry. And I'll keep my bit of copy paper because I can use that again, but like I say, don't use it too many times if it starts to get too wrinkly. Now on my card, let's bring it back in, I coloured them. On Emma's card she didn't. I'm going to show you how I coloured them, because they colour beautifully as well. So let me pop that to one side. And I need a tiny little bit of pink ink, because I only want a little tiny bit. and a tiny bit of peacock feathers. Give it a twist as you put it down so that you get the pigment and the dye ink mixed together, because that's what the oxides are. And I'm just going to add little bits of colour. My brush isn't, that's better. I'm going to put a little bit on his nose, and then he can have blue baubles. So I'm only going to do little bits of it. So I do a pink heart on the robin. I was wondering about doing a red and green version of this, but then I thought you have to remember about when you mix your colours, and so it would just have made a horrible mess, really. Unless, like with Emma's card, she could have done red and green, because she could have finished with red here and then green, because she's got the panel of white over the top. So that would have looked nice. I did wonder about doing it in different colours. So I'm just... Oh, the nib of my brush is not very good tonight. Just adding some stripes to my scarf, and then I will come in with my blue. Did I make his... No, I made his pom-pom. I'm going to make it pink this time. There we go. So then I clean my brush off, not necessarily on the back of my hand, but make sure it's clean, and then I can come in and add little bits of blue on his baubles. And I did the penguin's tummy in blue. And we'll do the robin's wings. So you could do as much as you wanted, or you could do what Emma's done and just leave them white, which I do think they look lovely. A bit of his hat and my stripes, and my stripes on my scarf, and I think we're done. So I will leave those to dry. Let's wipe this up because I don't want to get that on everything. And the only other thing I need is my sentiment. So while these are drying, we'll just emboss my sentiment. I'll bring my stamping press back in. Need my card again. And I have already ink blended a little strip of card. Now I needed to do this and leave it to dry. Didn't need to leave it overnight, but I did do it overnight, so that this Distressed Oxide has dried properly, so that I can heat emboss my sentiment onto it. So if you do it, you would need to heat it to dry it, but the best thing is if you blend it, leave it and come back to it. So then I'm going to take my... We had Joy to the World last time. Let's do a different one. Let's do Peace and Joy for this one. So place this down, and I'm going to do it between the two, so I get some pink, some green on the wording, and some of the purple will show. So I pick my stamp up. I've wiped my anti-static bag over it, so I'm just going to use the Wow ink pad to ink my stamp up. Now, because these are solid stamps, you do want to make sure you get a nice lot of ink on them, but don't push too hard because you don't want it to go where it shouldn't go. So just tap normally, but you want to make sure that you get a nice coverage, and then fairy fingers for popping down. And then I can see on there it looks absolutely fine. So again, I'm going to bend my mat so my piece of card comes off nicely. I'll sort that out in a minute. Bring my mat back in, but this time I'm going to use polished silver embossing powder because I want this to match in with my silver foiling and also the bit of silver foil card that I'm going to use. So I'm going to cover my wording up, give it a good tap, get any excess off, and then it just looks fab. And now we'll heat that, but let's pop this back in the pot first of all. Pop that in, give that a little shake, get rid of that, put my lid on, and then I can heat this up again. So again, I'm going to have to do it from the top because I don't have the room to get underneath it, but we'll try and do it so that you can see it. Again, just going to bring my heat tool in. Keep it nice and even and straight, and then just work my way down. Get so far, turn it around so I don't burn my fingers, and just go steadily down to the other end. And that's it. Be very careful not to touch the embossing until you've given it just a couple of seconds to actually cool down. If you touch it too soon, you can put finger marks in it, you'll get your fingerprint in it, and it hurts. So don't ever touch it until it's actually cooled down. But it's only seconds, but you do need to let it cool down. So now I'm going to trim this down using my guillotine, and everybody knows with their own guillotine like where to cut so that you get a nice border. So just lining that up, trying to make it even both sides. Oh, that looks a bit, you can always come back in, that's a bit too big, so I need to bring it just a little fraction. That's better. Okay, so get rid of those bits. We could use those and put a couple of sentiments on those pieces. To be honest with you, you could have a pink one and a blue one. But I like this because this has got a bit of the purple in the middle as well. So then I'm just going to cut with my scissors up into the V's. You can use the message banner die and die cut them and then stamp on your message banners, and then it's all cut out for you. Or you can cut them out with scissors, whatever's easiest for you. Okay, so I have my card, got my blank card, and now we can put it all together. First of all, I'm going to put my piece of cardboard on the back. So I'm going to glue around the edge of my cardboard. And I do like using cardboard instead of foam pads because this is going to cover the whole of my piece of card. It makes it so stable and gives it such a good finish. I just love the effect and the feel of the card when it's got cardboard instead of foam pads, and it's also much better for the environment. So then I'm going to put some more glue on the back. Pop my lid on for a minute. And then I have, make sure I get it up the right way. So I've got the green at the bottom, and then my 25s are up the right way. Nice even border, and firm that down. Because we've got all the sparkle on it, I'm going to use a bit of kitchen roll in between so that I don't lift all the sparkle off. I'd like to leave a little bit of it behind. Okay, so now we're ready to pop our foilables onto our squares, and I want to arrange them so that we've got blue on one side and pink on the other, but so that they're different. So I'm just going to layer that down, make sure I've got a nice border of the foil showing. Whoops. Now foil's quite difficult to stick to, so it'll move quite a bit till it starts to go off. So once you've got it in position, just leave it and give it a chance to actually adhere. You could use little bits of cardboard, you could use little foam pads if you wanted to raise them up so that you're not sticking it onto the foil. So it wouldn't be quite so slippery then. But if you put this down and then just leave it for a few minutes, so I want this with the pink on that side this time. So I've got two with the blue on the left, and I'm going to have two with the pink on the left, and then I can alternate them. I like how Emma's done hers top and bottom, so I did mine side and side, just so you've got something different as well. So I'll show you what I mean. So Emma's done all hers pink at the top, blue at the bottom, pink at the bottom, blue at the top, whereas I've done mine on the side. So just to vary it a little bit, then you can decide which way you would like to do yours. Okay, so now I'm going to pop these on, but I'm going to use foam pads this time because I want to raise them up. I don't want them in the same order as I did before. So what did I do before? I did the snowman and the robin and the penguin and the rain. So I've done different. Excellent. So the reason I'm using foam pads this time is that I have some that I want to use up, and these are a perfect size for the backs of these squares because they don't fill them completely, so I can overhang a little bit of the square easily because the foam pad doesn't go right up to the edge. So take all my backings off. Okay, so we'll have our robin up here, and I don't worry too much. I'm just going to overlap them a little bit. I sort of want to do them to the top and the bottom because I want my sentiment to go in the middle. And then maybe we'll have, no, I've got to do them that way. Oh, but it's going to overlap that one too. It's almost the same look. But it'll be okay because I can overlap this one a little bit and that'll take your eye off of it. There we go. And then I have some foam pads that I've cut a little bit thinner. So I can pop that down. And then I can raise my sentiment as well. Let's pop that next to there. I think I should have room for one more piece. There we go. And then I can take the backings off and I can pop my Peace and Joy in between my two, making sure I've got it, oh, come off, in the middle of my card roughly. And there we go. Let's get rid of that and that. So we have Joy to the World, Peace and Joy, and we have Winter Wishes. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I really enjoyed making it. I'm going to go back and read through all the comments now. Let me flip the camera a minute. Let me bring it up so you can have a look. Just so you can see the difference, because this one doesn't have any splats on it, but you can see the splats, and it is really nice with the shimmer as well, actually. I really like that. So thank you for the hearts. Bear with me. Let's just whiz the camera around. I do like to see you so I can say goodbye. I'm very hot. It's very warm again now. Yes, just thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this morning. I'm sure you did from all the lovely comments, and lots of you have been putting the stamps in your basket, so thank you so much for that. Don't forget, I'll be live tomorrow at 10:30. I have a lovely, huge basket of sample cards to share with you, and a project from Emma and a project from Tracy. So I'll be here live tomorrow at 10:30, and then I will load it up onto the YouTube channel as well. So if you want to watch it on there, and you can see it do it through your TV, it's nice to see everything a bit bigger. So, but thank you so much for joining me, and can't wait to see what you make with your Christmas sentiment banners and your Christmas postage set. So take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye.